That's why Garchomp is the best character in Unite. It can cut just straight through objectives and whole teams. It's got great knockback, even residual from Rough Skin, and just so many other so useful kits. But it's so underutilized. Welcome back, everyone, and we are of course talking today again about Garchomp from Pokemon Unite, which is in my opinion the perfect Pokemon for the game, and why all new Pokemon need to follow Garchomp's lead when it comes to character design in terms of a playstyle. But before we continue on to that, please do not forget to meteor mash that subscribe button and bullet punch that like button. Helps us know that you guys enjoy the stuff we do and encourages us to be able to do more of these things. Plus helps get the word out to new people so they can find what we do here. So let's first have a little bit of a look at Garchomp's stats first. High offense and bulk is what it actually has going for it in terms of the battle scenario. Solid mobility and actually pretty decent scoring, but it has rather low support effects. This makes sense. It seems as though it's a fairly simple, straightforward beat stick of a character, just to go in and deal damage. Its boosted attacks operate very differently compared to most characters. Rather than a special effect triggering after every 3 moves, Garchomp's effect goes into effect on the 5th hit, after which every single strike will deal increased damage, heal Garchomp, and increase the attack speed at which Garchomp's basic attacks go off. Another note is that Garchomp's base attack is a frontal arc, covering approximately 180 degrees, so basically everything in front of Garchomp, and even on the sides, will get hit. Most Pokemon's basic attacks only have the boosted attack have an area of effect. Garchomp's regular basic moves, because almost every single one of the attacks is actually pretty much a basic attack, all have this frontal arc damage effect. This gives it a very powerful AoE in its standard kit. This, paired up with Garchomp's Ramp Up, allows it to deal a lot of damage in the thick of a battle while healing itself, because again, it has a healing effect when it comes to its boosted effect. It allows it to cut straight through grouped up enemies and punish group up tactics. This ramp up also allows it to take objective Pokemon such as Zapdos or Dreadnought with incredible ease, provided the player is sensible enough to set up the boost before going into the battle, which is not difficult at all. Paired up with the passive Rough Skin ability, which deals damage to physically attacking opponents, which often need to get up close to deal their physical damage, Garchomp will deal residual damage back at them based on the proportional damage they are dealing. Paired up with, of course, the healing effect that its boosted attack has, Garchomp can heal off damage it is accruing while still dealing out damage from its physical passive as well as its own attack stat, giving it many avenues of dealing damage in addition to just its other attacks such as Dragon Rush, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, or Dig, whichever combination of those you prefer to go to. This means that Garchomp excels in very close quarters combat, whether it's solo or actually even with a group. Now, we're not really going to look at Garchomp's moves. The reason why is everyone does have their own preferred playstyle when it comes to certain Pokemon's movesets. Personally, I prefer Dragon Claw, Dragon Rush. However, I know some people prefer Dig, some people prefer Earthquake. They like to mix and match. We're not going to go into them really because this comes down heavily to playstyle preference for which one is which one is better due to the different ways they operate. There is no statistical best realistically when it comes to, well, playstyles. However, we'll do a bit of an overview, and it's that Garchomp does possess several mechanisms of gap closing and team area control, whether it is knockback, distance closing with dashes, slowdowns for enemies, preventing them from escaping as easily by slowing them down, or forcing and box them in away from enemies, both from the enemy team, or rather their allies. So it can do very well in a solo fight scenario as well as a team fight contributor. But do not mistake Garchomp for a simple dumb beat stick. While it is a very powerful kit, it is incredibly powerful if utilized right. It requires a deft hand to be able to pull all of its different traits together into one seamless train of destruction. It requires a deft hand and intelligent play to pull all of these separate skills into a singular cohesive strategy, which is often why Garchomp appears to play very poorly in many battles. Oftentimes the gap of experience required to pull these together is either not present or the setup is just not the easiest to pull off with regards to the game. That is due down not to Garchomp itself being a poor Pokemon, but rather it being misused and misunderstood. The other part of this is actually Garchomp itself, or rather, Gible. Garchomp itself is a powerhouse late game. Gible, however, is a potato early game. It requires teamwork to draw out this incredible power. partners that do not abandon early game or access to the jungle central area to build up its power, get to the Gabite stage, get its moves, and be able to go into combat supported early game to then set up for later game. It does need a little bit of help at the start of the match, after which, once evolving at level 5 into a Gabite, it can become largely self-sufficient, as now it will have 2 functional attacks rather than Sand Attack and Bulldoze. Not even just a partner to stick with it in battles, but also to bodyguard it while scoring to again get those little bit of level ups in lane. So it can perform very well in lane or in the jungle. It just requires a understanding teammate that will be there to assist as a teammate should. Once it evolves at level 5 into Gabite, it is significantly more self-reliant, able to hold its own in a fight. Then evolving at level 9 into Garchomp with its Unite move now accessible, it becomes a powerhouse in its own right that can easily take on 1 or even 2 enemies in a single battle on its own. And it may not win, but it will definitely deal a lot of damage in a 2v1 scenario. Garchomp's Unite move, much like its other moves, give it several forms of gap closing and area of effect damage. However, these are very different in terms of how the Unite move affects Garchomp. This allows it to dash and dart around the wider battlefield in a more dispersed environment to spread out its damage dealing. It is not a single area focused attack, say a single target move. It is meant for being able to sweep wide attacks with big swinging arcs to hit multiple opponents in a dispersed battle arena, say the Dreadnought Zone or Zapdos Arena if everyone is spread out. It is very poor as a single target attack, such as continuously to pound Zapdos with moves. It doesn't work for this. It gives it a different sort of crowd attack area with, well, wider swinging arcs, mobility, and being able to attack enemies while moving quickly, but not being limited to stationary combat. It does perform very poorly against static opponents, and that oftentimes is what people want from a Unite move, the static attack position, rather than wide sweeping areas that can dart through multiple enemies, which Garchomp can easily wipe a team out if it is dispersed in the Zapdos Arena, if it is used its Unite move correctly. So this gives it a function with its moves as a close quarters battler, but the Unite move gives it a spread area group fight battle assist, giving it multiple dimensions of playing styles, or rather a kit that can perform well for different functions and requires precise knowledge of when to apply those different kits. This is why Garchomp is the best character. Its kit is extremely varied, but difficult to master. It is beyond satisfying to execute, but it requires trusted partners to allow this to happen. It's why it is the perfect character for Unite. It is not overpowered, but it's not too underpowered. It necessitates teamwork to draw out its full strength in a game that is, well, a game built around teamwork. It also requires a great deal of personal knowledge and skill on the part of the operator to be able to execute all of Garchomp's minute powers to its fullest extent. It is not some brainless win button like, well, other Pokemon that are in the game, especially many of the new ones that have been added. But that really is all for today. Again, do not forget to like and subscribe for more of the stuff we do here. I hope that with this being a more of a statement of what Garchomp can do, I hope it's seen in a much more positive light going forward than it has been historically, just because it tends to get a bit misused, and it really doesn't deserve the crap it gets. So, hopefully you guys will give Garchomp a test, play with some teammates, and play with some teammates you trust in something like voice calls, and have some fun with it. It's very satisfying to use and just can do so much damage. It just needs to be given a chance. See you guys next time. Let's rock and roll. And if you guys want to see some discussion video like this on another Pokemon, leave a comment below and we'll see what we can do about it. Thank you guys.